Hey there, Pod Pals. Are you a print-on-demand creator looking to stay ahead of the curve? You want to know exactly when to launch your designs for every key season and event? How about a chuckle with an extra dad joke to brighten your day? If you said yes to any of these, then it's time to join the Print on Demand Cast VIP list. As a VIP, you'll get our free annual design calendar, an amazing guide to help you time your creations perfectly throughout the year. And of course, we'll include a bonus dad joke each week as well. Signing up couldn't be easier. Just visit printondemandcast.com/VIP and enter your email. Don't let another day of potential pass you by. Become a part of the VIP list, grab your annual design calendar, and let's dive into a year of inspired creating together. We'll see you on the other side.
Welcome back to the Print on Demand Cast. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the fact that the POD cast is 4 years old. Let's get into it.
If you're looking for a podcast that's fun, the Print on Demand Cast is second to none. Travis and Josiah, they keep it real. Dishing out advice with a comic appeal. The Print on Demand Cast, it's the best of the best. Covering all things print on demand. You won't be stressed. Weekly dad jokes to make you groan. But you'll keep coming back. It's a hit you've been shown.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Print on Demand Cast. It is great to have all of you here with us again as we are celebrating the fact that the Print on Demand Cast is 4 years old today. And joining me for this podcast and all of the other podcasts for the last 4 years. How many times can we work in the fact that it's 4 years old?
That's terrible.
Joining me is Travis Ross. Travis, welcome, man. And today's going to be different, little loose, not as formatted, maybe, as hard as that might be to believe for people who've been listening to the show for 4 years. And they're thinking, wait a minute, they haven't been just walking on a high wire with no, safety apparatus. No, we have been structured. This, though, going to be a little bit more loose than normal. Travis, happy Tuesday as we're recording this. Happy 4 years of the show. How's things, Matt? How was your weekend? And what are your thoughts on the show being 4 years old?
Weekend was good. Just really busy. Did a lot of stuff. So a lot of work, a lot of just kind of grinding. I was really tired, and so it was a long weekend. But back at it this week. Have several local orders sitting over there ready to be pressed, and have another one that could be coming in any moment. He's got everything he needs. He just got to get me the final details. And so, still, I feel like summer is kind of a good time for local orders. So we've been doing a lot of those. Besides that, peeling back the curtain a little bit, we actually looked, and according to our podcast host, the first episode that we ever did was released August 31st, 2020. So I feel like we probably put out like some bonus episodes and still named them. And so, the podcast has 208 episodes. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a bonus episode in there or something that kind of threw off the math, but 52 times 4 is 208. So we're just going to claim it, right? I mean, yeah, why not?
We'll roll with it. What else are they? I mean, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't we just do that? Who's going to care? So it's 4 years old. It's official, and it's wild to think about that, guys. Just for a little bit of a, I guess, nostalgia moment. We've got this here, not this one. This one was the original logo for the podcast. Which is insane. Not the best, granted. No. We just, kind of sent out a request. This is what our VA gave us. We've been talking about a lot about VAs. It's in the archive. But this is what he sent back to us. And we're like, hey, we're going to roll because we're going to put the show out in like a couple of weeks. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, that goes to, our point. We always talk about, jumping on before you have, you don't have to perfect it to put it out there, and so
Right.
we put it out there like this with this logo, and then eventually we kind of revamped that and came up with what we think is a way better logo.
Way better logo.
And it not only like is a better logo, but it kind of informed our whole vibe, of like the backgrounds and our website and all of that. It really gave us kind of that synth-wave kind of feel for pretty much all of our branding. So it was very, very advantageous to us to rebrand. But had we waited until we had the perfect logo, we wouldn't have launched in August 31st of 2020.
Yes. Yeah. To Travis's point, it was just kind of like one of those things where, I mean, I don't think either of us were really stoked with this logo when we first went with it. The idea was like ink from the printer kind of splattering and having the letters and like all that stuff. Right. So kind of whatever. But once we had a conversation, I don't remember when we switched the vibe to what it is now, what everyone knows and loves. But we kind of were like, we kind of had to talk about the aesthetic and wanting to do something a little bit more 80s vibe, nostalgia, kind of fit our personalities a little bit better as well. And then here we are. That's what we've got. Yeah. So it's been interesting to kind of see the evolution of the show. We're going to be talking more about that and also talking about what has changed since we started in the podcast, both in the print-on-demand cast industry as a whole, from 2020 to now in 2024, but also in our personal lives, what has changed. You can, I don't know if you guys want to take like the over-under on which category is going to have more changes in it, but lots has changed in both ways, in both categories. So before we do that, we're just going to go, we have a bit of an extended one today for this week's weekly dad joke.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
By extended, it's not that it's one joke that just keeps going and going and going. It's a little bit of rapid fire jokes here as we celebrate the 4 years of the show. Travis, I know you have just a plethora at your disposal.
Few.
So I'll let you go ahead and start, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, so I was in really bad pain. I had actually fractured my my right ankle foot kind of area, and I went to the doctor and he administered some local anesthetic so he could examine me better, but he injected it into my left ankle, which made me even more irritable. And I honestly said some stuff to him that I probably shouldn't have said. And to his credit, he calmly replied to me, "I'm sorry, I think we got off on the wrong foot."
Nice. I like it. All right, that's Travis's one. Here is mine. I realized the other day, we have a pretty peaceful neighborhood here, and was a little irritated, right? It's the people that come and knock on your door and they're like, "Listen, you need to get saved or you're going to burn." Stupid firemen. It's topical because there's a fire about 20 minutes. Well, there is it's still happening, but other direction. It burned the other direction. So, all right, Travis, it is good. I mean, not good, but good for my own self-interest that it is the other direction. So, Travis, what do you have next?
So I was, my wife came to me the other day. She was kind of annoyed. I sense a theme. Either we're annoyed or people are annoyed with us. But she said she's been kind of studying like grammar and English, and it's kind of an overflow of my daughter, who's actually in college for English. She's really loves to read and all that. But so it's been kind of passed on to my wife, I guess. And so she said, in the context of this conversation, she said, "You need to do more chores around the house." And I just calmly said, "Can we change the subject?" And she said, "Okay, more chores around the house need to be done by you."
Little sentence structure humor here.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. So the other, I didn't tell this story on the show because it happened, in last Christmas. But I was going to buy a new tree because our old tree when we moved, it got kind of damaged, so we had to buy a new fake Christmas tree. So I go up and the cashier says, "Oh, nice. Are you going to put it up yourself?" And I said, "Don't be disgusting. I'm going to put it in the living room."
Oh no! This was a PG show.
If you're offended by that joke, I completely agree.
Oh, I don't know how to follow that.
I could not get it out. So funny.
That's so bad. Oh, we apologize, Print on Demand Cast listeners. Okay, I'm gonna keep going because I just can't. I was actually at a local bookstore the other day, and I couldn't believe it. They were literally throwing out all the Stephen King novels. They were just like chucking them out the window, and I couldn't figure out why. But then it hit me.
Nice.
You devil.
Nice. Stephen King books. Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I would tell
I wanted to take a stand. I wanted to take the stand. A stand that I tried to get another one in there. It didn't
Stand
work.
by me. Is that what you're gonna try?
No, the
Yeah,
stand.
you tried to. The Stand.
That's Stephen King novel, right? The Stand. The
I
Stand
thought Stand by Me
novel. No, The Stand. It's a novel by Stephen King.
Oh.
Come on, man.
Well, I guess that the whole thing just ended up in misery.
Hey, you know what? We'll just. That was good. I was gonna say we'd edit that whole part out, and then just leave it in.
We salvaged it. So yeah. Let's see. I'll do one more. My boss really hates when I shorten his name to Dick. Probably because his name is Steve.
You are on a roll. Oh my gosh.
And then before we pressed record, we were talking about how did Richard go from Richard and Dick as the nickname? And we did a whole search. And if you want to know more, subscribe to the newsletter.
Oh man. Yeah. The newsletter, that's going to be fun this week.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
you're up. What's your last one?
I got the last one here. And I figured, Paris Olympics, go USA, a lot of cool things happen. But as I've been watching them, I've been really getting into the different national anthems, the different countries at the Olympics. Yeah. I guess you could say I've gotten into country music.
And there it is with the Michael Scott clip to top off this week's extended weekly dad joke. Hope you guys enjoyed that. It was certainly more fun than it probably should have been.
I was just going to say, this episode's kind of a little bit of peeling back the curtain. What just happened there is usually what happens a half an hour before we're recording. We go back and forth with multiple dad jokes. And so you're getting to see kind of the behind the scenes. So lucky you.
Little BTS here for you guys on the 4-year episode. Yeah, we usually iron out the dad joke before we actually really dive into what we're going to be actually talking about. So we have an idea, and then we focus more on the dad jokes, and then we dive deeper on the main event. And that's just how it goes sometimes. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do now, I guess, for this week's for the segment is going to be some POD trivia for this week's point of interest.
Point of interest.
Thought we'd use, my favorite point of interest bumper that we have in all 4 years of the show.
Hmm.
That's the one. So awesome. So we're gonna do some trivia, and you're thinking, trivia, how's that gonna work? Well, basically, here's what we should do. Well, that actually won't work at all. So I told you it's going to be a little loose in formatting. So we're just going to go back and forth here. We have some trivia, and hopefully this will be interesting to you. If you guys know any of the answers,
Shout them
you
out.
can shout them out right now as you're driving, and then maybe record a video of you shouting them out while we're asking it, and then post it to the Facebook group, because otherwise we'll never know if you're telling the truth or not. So what we're going to do, we have a little 12-second timer here. You'd think 12 is a weird number. I know. We're going to go for 10, but the whole process behind the reason we got to 12 is really, really ridiculous. So it's 12 seconds to answer. And so, Travis, do you just want to go back and forth on these, or how? Okay, well, you take the first one. I'll start the timer, and we'll go from there.
Okay, the first Print on Demand cast trivia question is, and get ready, guys. You need to, put your thinking caps on. We're going to give you 12 seconds. What was the first year that Merch by Amazon allowed signups for their print on demand program? Start the timer.
All right, shout them out. Shout them out. We need to hear you. What do you guys think? I'm going to say, and I actually didn't know this, 2015 is when they did that.
So,
is that right?
Yeah, that's right. The timer was off or something, and you answered that at 5 seconds left, and I was like, give him 12 seconds, man. You're a jerk. Let him.
Yeah, that's true.
We should probably let the timer ding,
and then say the answer.
Yeah, give them a little time.
Okay.
Give them the full 12 seconds.
Okay. See, yeah, that's what rehearsals are for, and that's why we're recording this rehearsal. Okay, number 2, the second question in this trivia: what type of printing process is used for creating durable prints on items like mugs, phone cases, and metal prints? 12 seconds. Go. And enjoy this.
If you're looking for a podcast that's fun, print on demand, cast a second to none. Travis and Josiah, they keep it real. Dishing out it.
All right. What do you guys think it is? Let us know. Shout it out. We can hear you. Travis, what's your guess?
We've got passion.
We have done a million mugs here, and we use a process called dye sublimation.
That is correct. Dye sublimation for the win. Very well done. Very well done. All right, Travis, you take the next one.
I was going to say, if you want to learn more about that, we have, if you search sublimation or sublimating in our archives, you can figure that, or you can find a lot of episodes we've talked about sublimating coffee mugs and different things like that. So check that out. All right, next one. Number 3. In 2020, which print-on-demand platform surpassed $1 billion? That's billion with a B in cumulative payouts to artists and designers.
All right.
Go. 12
seconds. Go.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We have some work to do now. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you?
All right, and for those that just heard that, you need to know that I've waited 4 years to find an appropriate time to use that bumper, and we found it. So, all right, the answer to this is Redbubble. I thought my first guess initially was Etsy, but 'tis not the case.
I was thinking Merch by Amazon. That was my guess. Yeah, but Redbubble, who knew? Somebody knew because they wrote the question.
Yep. Very good. Here we go. Number 4. What year was the Printful, a major print-on-demand fulfillment company,
the
founded?
There we go. I'll fix that in the notes.
Yeah. No. And then Mark Zuckerberg just said, drop the. And he's like, okay.
You're going to learn today.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. The answer is 2013. 2013. Yes. All right, Travis,
Okay.
take number 5.
Okay. This one's a bonus. So where are you at? Are you 4-0? All right. This one's going to be it's not going to be any harder. You'll get it too. All right. Here's the bonus question. Number 5. What is a significant advantage of using a direct to film or DTF printing method over DTG in print on demand? We are specifically looking for a particular advantage, a significant advantage. So
6 seconds left.
Keep that in mind. Do you got it? You got it? You got it?
2 seconds.
All right. The answer is DTF, or direct to film printing, can be used on a wider variety of fabrics, including those that are not 100% cotton. So there you go. You can do DTF on leather. You can do it on polyester. A lot of things you can't do with DTG. So that was the significant advantage we were looking for. If you got all 5 of them right, tell them what they've won, Bob.
First of all, you've won a resounding round of applause from the live studio audience here, and also
hotline fans.
You have won our respect, and we really want to see the videos of you screaming the answers out at the car and at your stereo, because otherwise there's really no way to validate the fact that you actually did get all 5 right. But we'll believe you, because Print on Demand Cast audience would not lie. So that would never happen. Never happen. All right, we're going to go to this week's main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event.
All right, Travis, we're going to be talking about what's changed in print on demand in the last 4 years and what's changed in our lives in the last 4 years. So I'll let you pick which category we want to start with. Maybe we start with print on demand industry, but I'll leave that up to you. But, you know, we always talk about how this industry is very, it's quick. There's lots of things that are always changing, rapidly advancing, rapidly evolving, whether it's platforms and their rules and regulations, whether it's the print technology that is being brought to you by the manufacturers, you know, some of the big players like Epson and Brother and Mamaki. There's so many facets of this that can change so quickly. I remember when I was working for Verizon Wireless, it was a lot of the same way in the cell phone game, where every 6 months there was a new training on the new cell phone that was coming out, or a new training on the iOS update that was about to drop. And you never felt like you were ever caught up on the continuing education portion of that industry of your job. And so this is very similar to where it's constantly evolving and constantly moving. So Travis, what do you want to start with? Which category? And then we can just kind of dive into some of the things that we have seen and observed in the industry, or that we've kind of lived through in the last 4 years of life.
Yeah. I mean, there is some overlap, of course, but I was just thinking, like, maybe we could go back and forth, and I'll share one, and then you share one, and I share one, or whatever. Sure. And, you know, but I'm interested because I guarantee we're going to miss some of those things that our listeners are like yelling at their, you know, their car radio or whatever as they're driving down the road. You know, so, or wherever you're listening to this, you're probably like going, no, you forgot this. So if there is something that we forgot, it'd be cool to have like a little post in the Facebook group, and we talk about some of the things that have changed in the last 4 years. But one of the things to kind of kick it off, when we started 4 years ago, and we had already been doing print on demand. So this is probably more like 6 years ago. So I'm kind of cheating, but I just remember white ink in a DTG machine was like, wow, this one can do white too. It was kind of new. It was a new thing because they couldn't figure out the white ink actually has like, I can't remember the actual chemical compound, but it has one of the pieces of the ink, if you will, I guess, is actually a metal. And so what would happen is when they tried to put white ink in these printers, it would clog the print heads. And so they were having to constantly replace these, and so I guess that is a change, because at first, even when they started putting white ink, they were having so many problems with it. And print heads getting clogged, print heads having to be replaced, until even with some of they started doing like recirculation, with the white ink. So it would constantly recirculate. If you left it plugged in, even after you quote unquote turned it off, the circulation would still like cycle so that ink wouldn't stick, and they did some stuff with some different types of filters, and they did some stuff with just all, like a kind of a agitation where it would like shake it up and try to move those particles around in there. So there were so many companies trying to figure out how to make these white ink, this white ink not clog the print heads. And in fact, even the ink companies were like trying to figure out better chemical solutions to be able to produce the bright, vivid white that like a screen printing could do, but not have as much of that compound that clogs the heads. So it was kind of coming from both directions. And I think they're still doing that. Still attempting to do that, because white ink isn't just on DTG. We had a couple Mamaki UV printers, and they had white ink in them as well. And so it was the same type of thing. I remember you'd be in there in the middle of the night and you'd hear that thing. It was on the other side of the wall from my office, and I'd hear it every 15 minutes cycle on and just cycle that white ink. So I think that's, as far as the industry goes, that's something that's definitely changed over the last 4 years. So that's mine. You can jump in there.
Yeah, I mean, so much. I think for me, and I've alluded to this in the beginning or multiple times in the show, and it's directly related to how we kind of built our business in the beginning. But one thing that's changed over the last 4 years immensely is social media's and influencers' need and/or the saturation of providers for them in that space. The idea of drop shipping or print on demand and no cost up front and those types of things. I remember when we first started and I first started reaching out to people, there weren't a lot of folks that had merchandise or had stores, so it was really easy to find people to send messages to, because hardly anyone had a merch store. And I'm like, has no one heard of this? And part of it is no. And it was so new in terms of what is print on demand, and the idea of screen printing and having to hold physical inventory. All of that was very much still very prevalent in people's ideology and thought process when it came to creating merch. Mm-hmm. And so to pitch them on a model that was no cost up front and you didn't have to invest heavily in inventory was brand new to them. And then as things progressed, it got a little more difficult. And now I'm not even doing that on the day-to-day, but you go on Instagram or TikTok and everyone has a flipping merch store of some sort, whether someone's providing it for them or they're running it for themselves. It's everywhere now. And as we've alluded to in the last couple of episodes, TikTok Shop is a thing now where people are ordering shirts from there. Don't know how they're being fulfilled, but you can get shirts and merch and stuff from people's TikTok shop directly. So it's that has changed wildly. Just seeing the number of people who are taking advantage of the print on demand, direct to garment kind of drop shipping model seems to have skyrocketed, especially in that space. Yeah,
I think actually Printify announced that they were fulfilling for TikTok now. They had an integration.
Nice. That's huge.
I know another company, Merchize, they are doing TikTok fulfillment. And TikTok is just like every other platform as far as like they keep changing the rules and they say, well, now you have to get your thing to them in this time and you have less handling time. And so all of these print on demand companies that said, we'll do it, they're having to, figure out how they actually are going to do it to continue to not only satisfy the platform's requirements, but also keep their customers happy, because their customers can get in trouble with the platform if they're, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's a big one. I mean, just TikTok itself is, was not really a thing 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was in its infancy. And
Yeah.
so it was very in its infancy in 2020, and it was a lot of just viral dance videos, or you know what I mean, like the dance challenges. A lot of and
Right.
it's just exploded over the last 4
Right.
years. So yeah, it's been wild.
No, that's a good one. One kind of one thing for the podcast, we got new mics a while ago. I
Yeah,
was just literally
we did.
listening to like our first episode, just as a little nostalgia. And it's like we sound like this, we're talking through. It's not that bad, but it's definitely not the quality that it is
Comparatively,
today. Yeah. That's kind of a fun one. But as far as the print industry goes, I think a very easy thing to say that has happened in the last 4 years, the proliferation of DTF, direct to film printing.
Yeah.
And if you listened a few episodes ago, I was talking about, or several episodes ago, I was talking, kind of sharing my experiences at a trade show that I had gone to was it the Atlantic City one? Yeah, the Atlantic City Impressions Expo. And I got to have dinner with a lot of cool people, but one person that was there was the president of Omniprint, and we were talking. Omniprint does like kind of cut their teeth with DTG printers, and actually when I was looking at my first DTG printer, I was considering an Omniprint printer. I ended up going with an Epson like you guys did, and stayed with Epson for the duration, but Omniprint was definitely one of those. They have, some entry level, and then obviously some more larger printers, more commercial size printers, but they recently came out with some DTF machines. And when I was at the trade show in Atlantic City this past, when was that? It's probably April. I was talking to him and I just asked him, I said, so what percentage, like how has DTF affected your business, and what percentage of machines are you guys selling now compared to your DTG? And he said, we sell 8 DTF machines for every 2 DTG machines we sell. And they weren't even, DTF wasn't even a gleam in their eye, back in the day. They were all DTG, and it's transitioned so quickly over the last, since COVID, so probably when we were starting, they were starting to come out, but now it's just everywhere, and everywhere, and everyone and their brother has a new DTF transfer company that you can buy, new transfers and all that. It makes it really cool. If you have a heat press, you can do a lot of cool things from your home. That's what I'm doing now. I don't have a DTG machine anymore. I just have a heat press, and I order my t-shirts, and I order my DTF transfers, and I'm off to the races. And that's all I have to do. And pricing keeps coming down, just like it always does. When a new thing comes out, it's as high as it's going to get priced, and then it's slow as competition comes. Everybody kind of races to the bottom as it comes commoditized, and that's what's happened with DTF. So that's another one. I don't know. Do you have another one you thought of?
Yeah, I would say definitely, and we've talked about this a lot in the last handful of weeks and months of the show, but artificial intelligence certainly wasn't a thing in 2020. It was not something that was as prolific. I'm sure in certain sectors people knew about it, but from a public kind of awareness or consumption to where people were using it in the day-to-day, like generative fill on Photoshop, which we've talked about. That's been a point of interest here on the show as well, but kind of putting AI in the hands of creators, designers, whether it is in terms of the graphic image and helping create or generate those images, or if it's in the realm of Chat GPT or Claude.ai and these other platforms that allow you to generate a good starting point. Never going to advocate that you should just copy paste, because it's not going to be, at least for now, foolproof, and just probably wouldn't advocate that you do that anyway. But it's wild to see how far that it's come, not only in print on demand, but just showing my sister the other day these AI covers of Michael Jackson singing Bruno Mars and the whole voice synthesis that's happening, and it's wild. And she's getting ready to move to Alabama, and so she is resigning her job And she's like, I need a letter of resignation, but I've never written that before. And I said, sit down, grab your laptop, go to Claude.ai and type this. So I kind of walked her through like how to get a good template. And she was like, that's incredible. So it was her first encounter with AI. So it has been wild to see how it's grown. And it's going to be even more interesting to me to see how sustainable it is, what the ripple effects are on the industry, how they're going to police some of it when it comes to the design aspect. And are you going to be allowed just to generate something on AI and put it on a t-shirt? How is AI creating an image? Where are they scrubbing the information from? So it's going to be interesting in the coming years on multiple levels in culture, print on demand, industry, just to see the effects, the long-term effects of AI. But certainly in 2020, it was one of those things that it was boy, that would be cool if, and now it's happening. So
Here it is.
AI is a huge one.
Yeah. And it's really changed the game with print on demand for sure. But I got one more, and then, I mean, we can transition or we can keep going. That's fine. But
yeah,
I was just thinking about like the overall number of people that are jumping into the print on demand game. You know, there's just so many more people. And obviously, you know, we started in 2020. That was the COVID year. And a lot of people were stuck at home. They didn't have anything to do. They wanted to figure out a way to work from home. And so a lot of people started Etsy stores, and maybe they were crocheting a little, you know, frog or something, but those who didn't maybe have any crafty ideas or whatever, a lot of them jumped into print on demand. And so I was just looking at kind of Etsy revenue year over year. And in 2019, they had reached 818 million in revenue. So 818 million, that's pretty amazing. 2020, they more than doubled. They were 1.7 billion in revenue in 2020. And so in the last 4 years, where are they now? Well, obviously we're in 2024, so we can't say, but 2023, they had 2.75 million or billion. So they've gone up $1 billion since in the last 4 years. So I guess it's probably because of the print on demand cast. We are really feeding them a lot of new customers and a lot of new, sellers. And so it's probably us. I'm still waiting for that check in the mail where they pay us. But yeah, that's just one example of how much this kind of shopping online thing has just blown up, particularly Etsy. But there's similar numbers are going to be found if you look at Amazon and Walmart and all these other online shopping platforms, because people are becoming more and more comfortable. Even old people, older people, they're becoming more and more comfortable with buying online. And then obviously kids are growing up with a phone in their hand and they're figuring it out. So it's the proliferation of online shopping, as well as the number of print on demand shops that are opening every single day is just skyrocketed. Yeah,
it is. I think it is because of the print on demand cast. So I'm glad you said that, just to kind of clear the air.
Right.
And just put that out there.
Get it off my chest.
So it just needs to be said, really, is what I'm thinking.
I've been holding that back for a while.
Yeah.
I just haven't wanted to say anything. I didn't want Etsy to get embarrassed. So, yeah, I needed to say it.
Yeah, well, and now it's been said. So it's out there, and you guys decide whether or not that's true, I guess. So, transitioning, I guess, into what's different in personal lives. I think for me, the biggest probably from when we started is that I'm not in the print on demand industry on a day-to-day anymore, and haven't been since 2022-ish.
Right.
And so, in the beginning, it was, we're both running and gunning in the thick of it every day, both at production facilities at certain points. And so, which was nice to have contingencies. Again, we talked about ink and the many conversations like, I'm running low on white ink. They're not going to be here. And the new one's not going to be here in time. Can I borrow? Then you come get it. And there was lots of that, helping each other out when we were low on supplies. So that was very nice. And it's something that you take for granted when that contingency is no longer there. When there's not
Right.
that shop, you can just go and be like, "Hey, guy, I need a loaner." So, but yeah, in 2022, left the industry full time, and so it's been interesting for me to still hear and learn by proxy, kind of like secondhand of what's happening, instead of implementing it in my day to day, and then not really having to implement any of it in my day to day, or really chase any of the new trends and stuff down, because I'm not really implementing it or selling designs anymore. So I think for me, that would definitely be probably top of the list in terms of what is different between 2020 and 2024 for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when we started this show, excuse me, when we started this show, I was outsourcing and had planned to do that. I was outsourcing all my products, and then I had an opportunity to purchase a bunch of equipment, and I jumped in with both feet. And whether or not that was a good idea, who's to say?
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I, grew a lot. I was able to, I think, help other people grow, in that space. I eventually shut that down. I think I actually talk about that. I was just going to see if I could figure out what show that was when I talked about shutting down. Yeah. Episode 158, if you want to check that out, learning about POD the hard way. And I just kind of lay it all out, and, because I've always wanted to be, I just value authenticity, and it was a hard thing to decide to shut that down. And at the end of the day, it was because I just couldn't figure out a way to compete with the Printifys and the Printfuls. So that's one thing that's also increased over the last 4 years, is the volume. While the volume of print on demand has increased, the efficiency and the user experience of the creators on platforms that have millions of dollars of investments and are really technology companies that happen to print.
Yeah.
We were a printer, we were trying to fit the technology in the background, and trying to, I used a software called Order Desk that I called my poor man's API, because I don't know how to do an API, but I can use this software to tie to your Amazon and your Etsy and your whatever, your Shopify. And I mean, it's a great piece of software. But there's a lot of extra work. I couldn't make it look really pretty and, just drag your art onto a picture of a t-shirt and have it show up, and that's how it's going to print. So with them being able to do that, obviously that's very attractive because the user experience is awesome. And so having to compete with that and having rising labor costs, it was just very difficult. So, but that's changed again, because now I'm to outsourcing. So if you want to check that out, you can listen to episode 158 about kind of my transition out of having a production facility, having employees, all of that stuff. Now I'm back to being a one-man show, and it's kind of full circle, I guess.
Yeah, full circle in 4 years, for sure. I think, a lot has changed in the last 4 years for me personally. I don't live in the same spot I did when we first recorded that show in 2020. I've moved a couple times between then and now, and of course now in Loveland, Colorado, here in northern Colorado area. So that changed locationally. We don't do as many in person. I think we did one for the 200th was the last time we did.
You keep moving further and further away from me. It's like you don't like me or something.
So, there's no plans on moving any further north, for sure. So, or anywhere really. That's something that's definitely changed as well. Can you think anything else, Travis, personally for you that has changed since the inception of the show?
I definitely can. I think if you actually, Josiah, can you pull up our website real quick? I mean, that's one thing. We didn't have a website when we started, or if we did, it certainly wasn't as cool as it is now. But pull up the website and throw it up there real quick, and I will show you one thing that surprised you haven't mentioned. So there we go. Go to the, keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling down. And that guy on the right, who is that? No, go up. Go to our picture. That guy on the right, who is he?
Yeah.
Because he has really short hair. And that, my friends, was how I started the podcast. And now my hair is longer than most women's hair. Okay.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I was while you were talking about, your transition from facility to not, I was looking on our Print on Demand Cast Facebook page to try and find a photo to document, and this is what Travis looked like.
Yeah.
In the beginning, wearing, I think there's a picture of you wearing a Resound flat bill hat. And I'm like, there's no hair there. It's just the hat. So in terms of this guy, he had hair there too, and now he doesn't. So both follically having shifted and changed over
one going one direction, the other going
for sure. Yes. It's like ships in the night, just passing by one another. How long are you going to let that grow? When do you forecast a cutting of the hair?
I don't know. I've talked about it. But I don't know. You're just going to have to keep listening every week and watching
One
YouTube
day,
videos.
you guys are going to watch the video version and be like,
what
the hell?
I did figure out, and I'm not going to do it right now, but I did figure out how to do a really kick butt man bun, probably 5 years too late, But I had when we were on the camping trip, we were hanging out with a guy who always does a man bun. And I had him show me how to do it. Surprisingly not as difficult as I had made it to be in my head, but I digress. So maybe one of these times I'll shock you, and I'll actually do. There it is. There it is. Yeah, you can kind of see it there.
Man bun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
he's facing the wrong direction, but tune in to see what Travis does with his hair next week on the Print on Demand cast. That'll just be a new running bit. What's different about Travis's hair? That's hilarious.
The other thing we've done, I mean, you look at the first episode, we've added so many different segments, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but I really enjoy the dad joke segment. I think it's fun. And I feel like we've kind of embraced that as one of our, I don't know, something that it's kind of part of our identity now. And, we put it in the newsletter, an extra dad joke. We talk about it a lot. And I feel like it's also, we bring it to poker. We bring these dad jokes to poker now, which is, improved our actual lives. So thank you, podcast.
Thank you, PODcast, for enriching our lives. Yeah. In the beginning, I think we just had a main event, maybe a point of interest. I don't remember, but I know we've done stuff of course, the dad joke is probably the most kind of a pillar of the show now, but we've done mailbag segments. We've done, equipment rants and apparel rants and, last week, this week updates and, all this other kind of stuff that we've implemented over the last 4 years. So the number of segments has definitely increased for sure.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It's been fun. It's been fun 4 years. We've got a lot of topics out there, guys. And we would love to hear from you if you have any ideas or future topics you'd like to hear about. It'd be great. Just post in the Facebook group or send us an email, info@printondemandcast.com, and let us know.
Absolutely. And again, you can go to printondemandcast.com/Facebook to join the Facebook group. So if you have other ideas of things to Travis's point that you haven't heard us talk about, or you have heard us talk about, want us to revisit, dig a little deeper on, let us know, and it would be greatly appreciated. And also, you can always go and subscribe. We mentioned it earlier, but by going to printondemandcast.com/VIP, you can go subscribe to the weekly newsletter where you get a bonus dad joke and you get more information, tips, tricks, and insights on stuff that's both been on the show and hasn't been on the show as of yet. But if you want to stay in full know of everything Print on Demand Cast, that is the place to go to get that weekly newsletter. We won't spam you. You're not going to receive a bunch of stuff from us. It's one email every Wednesday or Thursday once a week. We'll just say that will go to your inbox. And then again, you're supplied with that bonus dad joke. And in exchange for that, you'll get the design calendar. So that'll help you kind of keep on track of what's coming up that you need to be ready to sell and capitalize on in terms of holidays and events. Our Q4 check-in is going to be coming up. We do the one every year. So that is going to be coming up here very shortly, because whether you know it or not, friends, we're almost at the end of Q3. So go figure that out. That's nuts. It's August. So Travis, anything else you want to say before we wrap this one up?
No, I don't think so. This was it was kind of a shoot from the hip type episode, but it was it was fun. I think it was needed. Both of us kind of came into the pre-production and we were like, so tired. My weekend was nuts. Your weekend was nuts. And we were just like, oh, well, it is the 4-year anniversary, so we can kind of get a pass to do whatever we want to do.
Totally. And so we did.
So you're welcome.
So
you're welcome for another metaverse.
Exactly. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know what you thought in the Facebook group. You can comment. You can leave us a post. You can email us again, info@printondemancast.com. But we will see you guys next week for the beginning of year 5, as I guess the beginning of year 4, but as we approach and start the approach to year 5 of the show. So I don't know. I can't do the math. It's hard.
True international effort to pressure.
So until then, until next week, guys, for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.
In a world where businesses everywhere are trying to make print-on-demand sales, one podcast goes above and beyond every week to bring the most POD-specific information there is, all to help save the day, every day. Don't succumb to the enemies of your print-on-demand business. Sign up today for the Print on Demand Cast VIP email at printondemandcast.com/VIP. This time, it's for real.